Oh, look, it's alive. Okay, technically not alive, but it's moved. Haven't done much with this car in the last few months, so I think it's time to get driving it again. The reason I really stopped was, well, I was driving the Sonic a lot, to be honest, but started noticing scraping, kind of like worn pad sounds coming from the brakes. And I don't know why. The brakes should be perfectly fine, so didn't quite get a chance to investigate yet, but let's go check it out. My first quick look, everything seemed fine. Brakes are really rusty because it's been sitting here, but I don't see anything. I'll probably pop tires off. Yeah, I mean, the rotors are all rusted, but the pads I can see, they look fine on the front. Same thing in the back, stuff, it's all rusted. But, I mean, there's good pad there, so, I don't know. I'm going to pop the wheels off, look at all four corners, see if there's anything visual. If not, I don't know, drive this thing. Right front, other than the rust on the rotor, looks good. Tons of pad. A little dirty because it's been sitting for so long here, but no issue on the right front. So let's look at the right rear. Okay, this is the right rear, and once again, ignoring the rotors are okay. They're definitely worn, but that's where the pad sat. Ignoring all the rust, it's fine. Tons of pad. Rotors good enough for now. Yeah, you probably can't see it, but don't see anything in there. When I put the struts on, it should be pretty simple. I'm curious how it changes everything back here, because I do have sorry, not struts, I have coilovers, and this has a separate shock and spring. I'm guessing the coilover replaces the shock here, and then the spring's just open. I don't know. Be working on that soon, but anyway, very similar to the Sonic rear suspension. But as far as brakes go, still don't see anything. So a little concerning that I'm not seeing anything, but let's try the driver's side and see if there's anything over there. Well, we're 3 for 3 on the good or bad side, depending on how you look at it. Nothing really here either. Good. I mean, the rotors are okay. Pads are tons of life. There's no grooving. Check 3 and all the same. So now I'm getting a little confused. Guess we'll check the left front. Maybe drive this thing again, see if we hear anything. Well, of course it's the last one, but found the problem. The right, excuse me, this is the left side. Driver's side, left front pad, specifically the inside, is pretty much gone. The outside is just about gone, but the inside is definitely gone. Rotors they'll need to be replaced, but I can probably throw a set of pads on here temporarily, but need to get probably new pads and rotors on all four corners, but at the very least get some pads for the front here so I can keep driving this thing. Curious to why the left front wore so much more than the right front, and in particular, I mean, the inside of this, but probably, I don't know if you can, probably can't see. Well, let me grab the light. But there's nothing down there. I don't know if you can see or not, but anyway. Yeah, so probably should still not drive this thing till I fix that. Temporarily throw some pads in the front and go from there, but yeah. Well, that answers that issue. I actually have the same problem on the Camaro, so I'm going to look at that as well. And then get some pads and at least swap out what I can on these. Yeah. She's a bit of a smoker. I just fired up the Camaro to move it out. Yeah, it needs valve guides bad. Look at all the smoke that comes out of this thing when you fire it up. Might be hard to see in the video, but she smokes, especially when it's cold. I'm gonna do the same thing on this. I'm gonna pull each wheel off, look at the brakes. I'm guessing one of them, maybe I don't know. I just can't, it's making this same sound. The rotors look okay. I threw the wheels, but you never know. So let's pull off each wheel and see what happens. Oh, I can rev it up here too, just for the heck of it. because why not? Got a little squeaky belt sometimes. It's just a 305, nothing special. Sounds good though. Well, nothing on the right front. The rotors are perfect and the pads are perfect as well. I still got these EBC green stuff pads from many years ago, but there's just not a lot of miles on them. I forgot I put, gosh, it's been so long. I put braided, steel braided brake lines on this thing. It desperately needs struts, but yeah, I mean, it's really nothing wrong with the front here. So I'm thinking this one might be the back. I don't know. We'll see. I would have theoretically placed all the pads at the same time, so I'm a little surprised unless something got messed up with one of the rotors or calipers and caused it to wear uneven, or who knows. But let's take them off and check. But so far, right front is good. Seem to be having a common trend here. Right rear, totally fine. Pads are great. Rotors are decent. No wear, or no obvious wear. You can kind of see some of the stuff I installed years ago, I forgot about. I think I previously mentioned I got Lakewood lower control arms, the Panhard bar, still has the old stock springs and shocks. The shocks are so shot, but still has the stock springs and shocks in here. You can see the crossing over Flowmaster exhaust. But anyway, back to the brakes. I don't know. It seems fine so far. So let's check out the driver's side. Is it going to be the left front again? Who knows? Well, I think I found the problem. I'm on the driver's side rear, left rear, and yeah, it's we'll call it pad failure, not wear. Apparently 20 years or 18 or thinking back, this was probably put on like 2004-ish. So yeah, 18 years. But that's the pad right there. So the outers are fine. There is the inner upper, and you can probably see it down here, but there's the inner lower. It moves. So the inside inside brake pad on the rear just came off. The wear portion versus the steel plate, they just broke. So yeah, that'll cause problems. Rotor still, I mean, the outside's okay. The inside feels, it's definitely beat up. But, so I think probably gonna have to do a full pad and rotor swap on this thing as well. But much like the Cobalt, I might just get rear pads for now, and look around to see what is a good option for pads and rotors. Realistically, the front rotors are so good. Maybe it's just rears on this. Rear rotors and then pads in all four corners, just maybe for age. Because if this broke here, who's to say it doesn't happen on the other sides? I never had any issue with these pads, but oof, that's kind of bad. So you can kind of see back here. Here's the plate backing of the brake jammed forward. So who knows what this even does when you press on the brakes? I mean, it sort of works, but it's grinding on. Who knows what it's grinding and pushing on. So anyway. I think we discovered the problem. I'll take off the left front as well just in case, but realistically probably order some pads and maybe over the winter here look at a new brake option, or at least pick up some rotors in the back, or who knows. But yeah, that's pretty bad. And the left front is fine. So this car is different. It was actually a pad failure, not a wear issue. Yeah, there's no issue here. Tons of pad life, and rotors are basically perfect. Yeah. Oh, side note, look at these. Look at these tires. They're ridiculous. 255 50 16s. They're just dirty. They probably have 100 miles on them, but these are actually going to go on wheels and tires. I'm going to put these on the S10, and then I have those older, well, they're newer than these, but those old IROC wheels, I guess they'd be late 80s IROC because of the second version of the IROC wheel. I'm going to put those on this car for kind of its temporary drag setup until I get like proper drag wheels and tires. But anyway, left front, no issues. So it turns out to be pad failure in the, well, the rear, the left rear. All right, so the, I guess we'll call it the brake diagnosis on the red cars is done. Yeah, it's not exactly what I thought, but at least I found both the issues on both cars. For the Cobalt SS, pretty straightforward, just wear on the front pad. So I'll try to get new front pads for now on that. Eventually that car is going to need probably pads and rotors at all four corners. I've already had those rotors off once and turned those, so they're getting pretty thin. They are aftermarket. I think there's EZP slotted rotors now, drilled and slotted. I think that car might just get stock front and rear rotors and decent pads, especially if I can make more of a track car out of it. That way, if you theoretically have a good track weekend, you can just put new rotors on the car as opposed to buying more expensive ones and trying to get more life out of them. But anyway, when it comes to this thing, the IROC, more just a pad failure. There's tons of life left on those pads, but maybe age or sitting for a long time, or maybe they were kind of stuck on the rotor once and when it broke loose it was bad, or who knows. But yeah, so I think on this car just get some rear pads now, that way you can drive that, and that way both cars you can drive them. I think eventually this is going to get probably pads all four corners, or maybe just rear rotors, because the front rotors, even though I did them years ago, they're perfect, so there's no point in changing those. Of course, both cars kind of have more of the rare issue, well, not issue, but rare brake setup that has the issue. Most third gens had drums in the rear. This, of course, had discs. It might be tough to get. The auto parts store might not have them. Might have to order them. And then on the Cobalt, obviously most Cobalts just had regular brakes, and then they were disc, but they weren't the Brembos, so they were very rare to have the Brembo front brakes. So pads on those might be a little tough as well. So who knows? Go down to O'Reilly, see what they got. Might have to order them, but at least get a short-term fix on both of these. You can drive them, and then over the winter when they're sitting a lot, kind of do new brakes on both. So, well, fortunately I was able to get pads local here. Not surprising that my local O'Reilly's didn't have them in stock, but they were in the Metro, so able to get them shipped up here. And we got Brakes Best is what they had, and premium whatever. These are for the Cobalt, these are for the Camaro, so I'll swap these out quick and then I can actually kind of drive these cars. So yeah, let's get it done. Well, that's not good. That rotor is down all the way to basically the backing plate. The outside has barely a little bit of meat left, but would need to be replaced soon. But the inside is gone. So they've been heat cycled quite a few times. Anyway, put these new pads on. At least get this thing fixed. It's pretty straightforward. There's two pins. You take them out, and then the whole thing kind of comes out, and just reverse to put back in. There's this one little metal piece here. Here's what the pins look like. I think if you buy them with the fancier kits, you probably get new parts. But for now, I'm just going to use these, and then maybe springtime, not sure, I'll get all new parts and new rotors as well, because these are starting to get shot. Good enough for a little bit, but yeah, they're starting to groove up a bit, so there's not much life left in these things. So anyway, fix that and get this car running. All right, they're all back on, new pads. Nothing major as far as putting these on. Since it's a 4-piston, you really got to squeeze all 4 pistons to compress so you get enough room to slide the thicker new pads on the rotors, but they kind of fight you a little bit. But honestly, it's pretty straightforward. Take the pins off to take it off and kind of reverse the process to put it back on. So pretty simple. So definitely, yeah, need rotors. But this will be good for a little bit. So anyway, do the passenger side, and this thing is done. Okay, this side's a little bit more normal. Rotor's not nearly as bad. Pads are more typical wear. In fact, there's the outer pad that's got quite a bit left. The inner one definitely wears more. So anyway, just swapping these out as well so we're good temporarily and be done with this. Okay, so the Cobalt is more or less good to go for now. That thing needs a bath. Ugh, it's gross. But yeah, I know it's not the most exciting thing. I'm literally changing brake pads, but got to get this car running again, and also the Camaro, so we can tinker with it a little bit more before that cold weather and snow gets here. So anyway, this one's good for now, so let's get the Camaro out and finish that one. Well, what do you know? They gave me the wrong pads. Took the pads off the back of the Camaro here, and I mean, there's tons of life on these things. But unfortunately, the other side is where the material came off the backing plate. So anyway, I guess I'm putting these back on because this is what they gave me after I ordered, and this is what came in. Should have looked, although to be honest, I might not have noticed initially. I don't know what these are for. Maybe a 4th gen Camaro, or who knows, but they are not correct. So I think we're done for now, unfortunately. So I guess try to get the right pads. I knew it might be a little tricky because 3rd gen Camaros were mostly drum brakes, but anyway, gotta find the right pads. At least the Cobalt's done. So doing a little nighttime wrenching here, but finally got the right parts. So it's kind of funny because these are literally like 20 years old, and these are brand new. And do you see much of a difference? Nope. But anyway, since the driver's side's broken, obviously you should just replace them all. But yeah, throwing these on and be done with this thing. Yeah, it never ends. So I think I'm gonna have to get probably a new caliper. Could not get the piston to go back in on the caliper, you know, turning it because it's the parking brake style, and it just kept coming out further. I was like, oh, maybe I'm going the wrong way. I turned the other way, it didn't do anything, and then just started puking brake fluids. So I don't know if the seal's busted, the caliper's bad. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, great. So nothing's ever simple, you know. Oh, just gonna throw some pads on it. No, no, this is supposed to be the easy side. So, and also with the brake, what am I trying to say here? The cable for the parking brake on the front, and then having the brake line. Probably can't see it, but the brake line's back here. There's like no room to maneuver that caliper around. So, thought it was simply sliding in and out, but you know the new pads are more or less the same size as the old ones, but unfortunately, I think the piston worked out its way out a little bit, so I tried to push it back in, and yeah, broken. Seal, who knows what. So anyway, to be continued. Okay, back at it with the brakes on the Camaro. Should have been a quick and simple little swapping of pads, but it never is. I was debating about completely replacing this caliper, but the reality is it's old. I mean, this thing's over 10 years old, but it has so little miles on it. The seals and everything are basically just perfect. But I did disassemble it because I was having the issues with the brakes, and made the mistake of taking the bolt off the back. Everything kind of fell apart. It leaked. Turned out this boot had a little cut in it, so that would have been leaking all the time. And instead of, like I said, instead of ordering a new caliper for like, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 bucks, whatever they are. Oh, by the way, of course the fronts are cheap, the rears, because they're more rare, more expensive. I just got this rebuild kit, 41102. It's a part number from O'Reilly's. It doesn't come with a piston. This is the original. It's like perfect condition. Or the spring. But it comes with just all the seals you need, and I don't really need most of them because they're in that good a shape, but I need this main one, and might as well replace these couples in the back, a couple in the back as well. But some of them I might not even bother fixing because they're literally that good. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna do a quick little rebuild of this here. Hopefully everything seals and works okay. Stick it back in the car, bleed the brakes, and we should be good. But eventually that rear's, you know, that can't take any power, so I'll probably put a different rear in the car and then new brakes and the whole deal. So this is just an interim fix, but should be simple enough. So let's swap it out and get it back in the car. Okay, well, I got this thing back together. It was pretty simple. First started putting it together without the spring, and I was like, well, this is so easy. And I realized, oh, got to put that spring in there. But anyway, basically put it all together. I had this gasket around the piston as I slid it in. Got it in all the way, pushing it in. This backside locks in with just this one nut against this weight for the parking brake. I think I never should have took off in the first place, but anyway, I don't know. Seems good. Seems to be sealed. I don't know if it's going to leak, but I did try using this tool. This is one of those brake compression tools for parking brakes because you have to twist them in. I don't know if I was using it wrong or not sure what, but you actually rotate this piston, at least in these brakes, counterclockwise to get them in. So I used this to hold everything in while I tightened the backside, and I kind of loosened it up and just twisted it in and pushed the piston in all the way. So it does move. It should be good. Get the brake fluid in there. It should push it back out. Seems to be pretty free. Definitely use the brake fluid as lube, lubrication around everything, the gasket, the piston, everything. So it's back in. Gotta remember how to put this little parking brake stuff back together, even though, to be honest, parking brake doesn't even work on this thing. I don't know if it's a bad cable or what, but I'm never really worried about it. And at this point now, I'm still not worried. So anyway, should be good. Get the pads back in. All I was trying to do is do brake pads, but you know, it's always something. So get the pads back in. The driver's side should be a little easier. I did see on the right rear, the passenger side in the rear, they do say to loosen the lower control arm. That makes removing the caliper a little bit easier. Of course, that would have been nice to know. Well, actually, if you're just doing pads, you probably don't even have to remove the caliper. But sorry, what am I saying? You do. But would have been nice to know ahead of time. But anyway, I'm going to try that now. Hopefully, putting back together is a lot easier with that control arm lowered. So anyway, yeah, put this thing back together. Of course, it's sleeting, raining, whatever out here when I'm trying to work on stuff outside, but oh well, not too bad. Got everything back on. Definitely worth it to drop the lower control arm. This lower pin is a bit of a pain. It's really in the way, and the emergency brake, or not emergency brake, the parking brake and everything is much easier to take off when the lower control arm's out of the way. So one bolt, 18 millimeter. Of course, that's a pain with these era cars. Some's SAE, some's metric, but anyway, yeah, everything's back together. Put this lower control arm back up, bolt on, and then look at the whole reason I even started this, which is the left rear with the messed up pad. So let's do it. More sleet coming down. It's so lovely right now. But check this out. Outside pad, totally fine. Inside pad, not so much. So actually the pad just broke off from the backing plate, and the lower portion just fell down on the bottom of this bracket. It was just hanging down there. The upper portion, I'm guessing, was still sort of braking, and actually it just bent the thing. That's the brake pressure was just bending the backing plate and sort of making it work. God knows how long that's been doing that, but yikes. But anyway, that's the whole reason I started this process and finally discovered it. So the piston still looks okay. I'm going to clean it up a little bit, put new pads on it, see if it works. Got to bleed everything, but man, never seen that one before. So anyway, didn't have to take everything off this time. Kept that weight on the back so the piston didn't come out. Did it much smarter. You do have to partially disassemble the parking brake so you can get the 2 bolts out, but otherwise pretty straightforward. The driver's side does have a hard line as far as a brake line. There's not that flex line at all, so there's very little room. That's about all you can get it off, but it's enough. So yikes, crazy. But we'll get this fixed, put a new pad on there, get stuff bled, and then hopefully yeah, hopefully we're back to driving this thing. All right, got the driver's side rear wrapped up here. A little simpler, nothing really special. New brakes went on, or excuse me, new pads went on like they should. Yeah, so the only trick with this side was you got to loosen up the parking brake to get the pins in and out, but otherwise pretty straightforward. You got those goofy broken, I guess, pads off. So yeah, bleed the brakes on this thing, and that should be it. So be able to get this thing back on the road a little bit and drive it before the bad weather gets here and go from there. So just about done on this thing. Really, the Camaro including. This is the Cobalt, if you can't tell. But anyway, yeah. So I think those, I think this video is basically just changing the brake pads on the Camaro and the Cobalt. Not the most exciting thing, but it's kind of important because now they've got that done, and get these cars out again a little bit more before snow gets here. Have some improvements to do to both these things. I think I might have said previously, but intercooler, suspension, sway bar, can't remember, forgetting anything else on the Cobalt. And then for the Camaro, I just want to take it down to the track abandonment once, kind of do a baseline run before it really start messing with it. But anyway, so yeah, they're back. It's kind of important. Gosh, I can't believe I let them sit for a couple months. But anyway, they're back. So a few more videos coming up on these things soon, and yeah, it should be good. So thanks for watching.